Sorted now. Hi guys. Hello. Can you hear me? Hopefully you all can. Right, I'll just check in there. I might be about a minute or two late, but I want to say hello to everyone in the chat box. Edwardian Lady, hello. Crafty Nice, Liz and Mark, the Gestalt Entity, hello. Jimmy Jenkins, thanks, David. We've got Jimmy Jenkinson, hello, and David Schultz, who always tunes in from across the pond. That's really great. Yeah, people have already started commenting about what's been going on at the moment in Parliament. I can't focus on this for too much longer because it's getting me down. But hi, Mark. Mark Crane is there. And Bumbelina. Hello, Bumbelina. And Douglas Barter's Legs is back. Hello. And nothing is as it seems. Cosmic Claire. Greetings, Cosmic Claire. Thanks for tuning in. Right, I could to share, as always. Facebook, first of all. Seems to be the easiest one to do. Right. So I'm a bit hectic tonight. I've just finished. I don't know how many of you saw it, but changes may not be safe. What are you talking about? Post to Facebook. Oh God. I was on Caroline Stevens' show, Seeking the Truth. Well, it was on Facebook. It's not on YouTube yet. But I was on her show, and I finished about half an hour ago, and I've now uploaded her that, so I've sent her that so she can she can take that to her YouTube channel. But I've I got home. I went home from work, and I went to see some friends and got home from work, and I've been on the air ever since. Hello, Sonia White. Greetings. How are you? Hope you're all right. We've got 24 watching. Just wait for a couple of other people to turn up as the evening goes on. Don't know how many people have. So, hello, Hugo Rune. Hello, how are you? Got 26 watching. As I recognise most of the names. Jimmy Jenkinson. Have I seen you before? I think I might have done. I don't know if you're new. But all the others are regulars, so hello, all of you. Nothing as it seems. David Schultz, Bubbleina. Excuse me. I won't be yawning the whole time. Don't worry, guys. This won't be as long a live stream as last night. It certainly won't be in two parts. Not unless Neptune returns, cajoles me into talking about UFO disclosure. Oh. Anyway, right, I think we got enough people there. We have, I think. $30 is plenty. Anyway, you've left some good comments here. Hello, Goonlove. Yep, kicking the can down the road, exactly. People have already left some good comments, such as David Schultz. They say the next Tuesday we'll see the Bojo mask coming off about Brexit. On the Richie Allen morning show, is Brexit going down the shitter? Well, it certainly is going down the whatever you call it, certainly. And this is kind of predictable, isn't it? It's almost as predictable as Epstein's suicide. Jimmy Jenkins says, I see that shitweasel Burko's rule against Brexit, according to Jeff Taylor's latest upload. What the fuck is going on? Yes, he's really abused his position, that guy, the Speaker of the House. He really has totally. How is he even allowed to do what he's done? It's a farce. Well, Jimmy, it is a farce, exactly. It's like watching music hall, isn't it? This whole thing. It is really the last 3 years generally, all the rules have been broken, both in a good and bad way. And we're seeing the 2016 effect really played out in its the worst shadow elements of the 2016 effect these last couple of days, haven't we? Jimmy Jenkinson, I won't be happy until I won't repeat what you just said there, but basically it's similar to what Philip Pullman said. However, I feel more well disposed to what you said than he did. But the process will lose energy and people will just forget about it. That's not going to happen. I promise you that it's really not going to happen. There's too much. There's too many people who are passionate about it. There's too many secrecy that's unveiled. There's too many people, high-profile people, speaking out about it, which means I don't see how. I honestly don't see how this can be simply made to fade away. It is not going to fade away. If they're gonna cancel Brexit, they're gonna have to do it hard. They're gonna have to come down with a bump, and that is going to be very, very bad for them. Very bad for them. Almost as bad as Brexit happening. I say even worse than Brexit happening, probably from their point of view. Hello, Al McCall. How are you? I'll try not to yawn, Richard. Sorry. Ooh, nothing as it seems. Ooh. I'm still the hospital porting shift work is still in there. Richard Kisnet, choosing or voting for a favourite politician is like asking a plague victim to vote for his least painful boil. Oh God, who's that guy? What's his name? Rory. What's his name? Hang on, I was just posted about him just a minute ago I was on the Jacob Rees-Mogg appreciation group. Oh yeah, it was that. What was his name? I hate it when I can't remember names. I really do. I have to just say something. I just have to look it up. As soon as I forget a name, I have to look it up. Here we go. Oops. Come on. Yeah. Oh, it's not that one. So I can't let this go. Right, Rory Stewart. That's him. I said Rory Stewart, didn't I? I should listen to my subconscious. Yes, he. Oh, he was. He's a very, very painless boil. That man, isn't he? He's an extremely painless boy. He's an ugly, seething, rancid one, but he's not very painful. He was voted GQ Politician of the Year, and he had to announce in his acceptance speech that he'd been not deselected. He'd had the whip withdrawn. Basically, he's been expelled from the Conservative Party. Goonlove, where's Guy Fawkes when you lead him? One of only two men who ever entered Parliament with good intentions. The other, of course, was Oliver Cromwell, who walked in 1629 and arrested the whole bally lot of them. We need him as well. Good evening, Neil Desperandum. Richard Kinsit, hi Tina, how are you? Rory Stewart is Norman Wisdom in disguise. Yes, Norman Wisdom without the laughs. That's it. Thanks, Jimmy. Douglas Bardeleg says Benjamin Netanyahu is reported to be arriving on Thursday as a surprise visit to meet with Boris. Ben's giving him orders to face methinks. Oh, well, I hope. I wonder what Boris will say to him. Yeah. Hello. Nothing as it seems, says Mrs. B. Is Mrs. B in chat? Is she there? David Schultz says the owners of UK are no different to the owners of the US. It's a big club and you're not in it. Well, David, I think the current the club members are rebelling, I hope. Hi, Susan Hayward Tonkin. Nice to see you. That's it. Is Mrs. B around, actually? I've got to apologise to Mrs. B because she was a lady who joined chat last night. So if you're there, Mrs. B, let me know because I owe you an apology because Mrs. B is actually somebody I know, someone I've met. And I didn't recognise her. I have actually contacted her and we've talked about it. And I asked her, are you Mrs. B? She says, yeah, did you recognise me? So, sorry about that, Mrs. B. Welcome anyway. John Nolan. In a Mad Max, you'll be living in a Mad Max movie soon, Ben. Well, John, if the New World Order is going to be quite something, it's... the transitional period, like the breakdown of the New World Order, I mean, it could be tough. It could be rocky. It's a shadow we have to expel. The new age sort of spiritual Buddhist idea is you have to expel the shadow, or address the shadow, or neutralize the shadow. Cosmic Class, it was 1642 when Cromwell did what he did. Either way, good on him. Whichever year it was, well done him. Hello, James Tilly Matthews. Hello, Rob Treehouse. Someone else I've met and who exists. Welcome, Rob. And Bung Holio. Hello, Bung Holio. And Lime Specs is late. Hello, Lime Specs. Not a worry. Lime Specs, a friend of mine's made a wonderful meme of your little saying. And I've been sharing it everywhere. We have credited you. Put your name. I don't know your real name, but I've put your online name in. Good, Mark Hollingsworth. Hello. And Cosmic Cloud. Bring the shadow into the light. A Jungian thing. Right. That's it. Yeah. What it means is that we have to go through a very difficult process, and it could be upsetting because we have horrible things in this world that we don't know about. And if we're going to be healed of those things, we have to look at them and integrate them. And some of them are really horrible. I mean, I talk about them on this channel. The worst example, of course, is the scale and severity of child abuse. But there's many other things, of course. Many other things I've talked about in this particular channel. You know, the engineered wars, the UFOs, 9/11, stuff like that. It's all pretty horrible when you realize the implications of some of these things. I mean, the UFO thing, people shrug their shoulders and think it's a bit quirky and it's fun, and it is in a way, but it's a very serious matter. Susan Hayward Tonkin, I don't know if Cromwell has reincarnated, but I bloody hope he has, because we need him back. Him and King Arthur, I think. Hello, Winslow Burdett. How are you? Live Specs. Yeah, thanks. Sure, if it's not your original tweet, that's no problem. But you're the one who let me know throughout it. Thank you very much. It's all on Twitter now. It's been shared. A lot of people like it. It's probably going viral. But whoever it was, of course, memes are memes. I don't think people get copyrighty about memes. Anyway, there are 43 people watching now. I'm going to read out the lead off. I don't have much of a lead off. I'll just do this and go through some of the news, because really we're just kind of going through what happened last night. Anyway, first thing I have to say, someone contacted me and put a comment up last night after the live stream and said that they didn't like me using the word Ramonas in the way I did. And I thought about that, and well, it's a tough one. I mean, maybe I did overuse it. Maybe it's demeaning. It's going to drive people away who may be changing their minds. I am angry with these people. That's the thing. I mean, they're showing a great deal of weakness and deception, self-deception and deception against others. But I'll try to say Remainers. If I get angry, though, I'm going to say Ramonas. So the MPs against no deal, they've won. They won last night's vote, as you know. They've won today's vote as well. It's pretty lousy. They've let's get the news, find out exactly what happened. I think it was. I'll just go down. Let me just find the original article. I'm just going to go through the news articles here. Yes. There's the whole thing is looking it's looking very messy actually in Commons at the moment. As I said, this is the dark side of the 2016 effect. There was another bill today, which this is the crucial one. The bill again is this is the basically the equivalent of Yvette Cooper's bill from April, which was simply we want to ban the government from removing Britain from the European Union through a no deal. 329 supported it, 300 against. The whole landscape of the Commons has changed now, because 21 Tory rebels have been expelled from the Conservatives, so they're now in pink, which I think is a good colour for them. On the actual chart here, Labour in red, Plaid Cymru in yellow. There's Lib Dems in orange. There's the Independents, there's green, obviously. DUP. There were 2 Labour who voted against the bill, 3 Independents, 10 DUPs, 285 Conservatives against it. Labour, of course, overwhelmingly supported the bill. All but 2 of them supported this bill. Plaid, every single one of those, the Plaid Cymru, the supposed Welsh Nationalist Party. SNP, of course, every single one of them did as well. Again, nationalist parties voting for the empire. You couldn't make it up. It's incredible. It's an incredible thing. It's an incredible thing. Oh, anyway, this bill could force the Prime Minister to ask the EU for a delay. He has to obey the law. I mean, he said he's going to obey the law. I don't know if there's any way he can get out of that, but he is going to. It's now going to the House of Lords. The Prime Minister is going to seek to call in a general election if the bill passes the further stages later. He did a question time as well. Luckily the attempt to, I suppose it's pretty superfluous now, but the legal challenge against the prorogation of Parliament has failed. But the people who've actually been kicked out of the Tories, it's really quite something. These people who've these what they used to call them wet Tories, didn't they? The Europhiles. And Kenneth Clarke. He's been suspended along with Nicholas Soames, the grandson of Winston Churchill. The news has been showing a photo of Winston Churchill, with his grandson, a little boy, walking beside him. He's now been kicked out. Oh, my goodness me. You couldn't make it up. There's going to be an awful lot of by-elections coming up, I hope. I do hope these people are going to give their own electorate in their constituencies the chance to re-elect them. I remember that the CUC didn't do that, did they? The CUC members, Chuka Umumina and Luciana Berger and all those other Labour rebels who formed the Change UK, the CUC. They didn't. None of those have tendered their resignations and called by-elections. Kenneth Clarke, I'm not surprised. Kenneth Clarke has been pro-EU for a long, long time. As I said, this is a long-time Bilderberg Group member. Big internationalists, big globalists, right up the arses of Peter Sutherland and people like that. Rubbed shoulders with the Rothschilds at the Bilderberg Group. He was instrumental, actually, in the real coup d'etat, which is the removal of Margaret Thatcher from power, because primarily she was against European integration. Just goes so much for the Iron Lady. She was a paper dolly, and when she didn't do what she was told, they kicked her out. And Kenneth Clarke was involved in that. Kenneth Clarke, Michael Heseltine, what's the other one? A few others. I can't remember the names of the others, but they were all behind this real coup d'etat. So as we know, it's a real farce, isn't it? So 21 Tory, the government warned in advance. Yes, the Prime Minister says the MP would hand control of Brexit negotiations. This is what it does. They basically, the Parliament now has complete control of Brexit negotiations. More dither, more delay, more confusion. That's the idea. He's got no choice. Now, Boris Johnson says he has no choice but to press ahead with his efforts to call an October general election, adding the people of this country will have to choose. I mean, he knows that the people of the country have chosen to leave the EU. They now have to basically, in a sense, the general election coming up will be a second referendum. It'll be a single issue election, as I explained last night. So the MPs now have control of Commons business. They're going to introduce a cross-party bill which would force the Prime Minister to ask for Brexit to be delayed until the 31st of January. Oh, goodness gracious me, another bloody 3 months. Unless MPs approve a new deal or vote in favour of a no-deal exit by the 19th of October. Well, they're not going to vote in favour of a no-deal exit unless there's a general election. Get some Brexit party people in there. So there you are. Approve a new deal. Well, you know what they're doing, aren't they? Or Joe Swinson has practically admitted that. They're saying, right, we don't want to have a deal. We will not let Britain leave the EU without a deal. Right, okay. So here's a deal. No, we don't want that. Do you want this deal? No, we don't want that. And Theresa May obligingly presented Parliament with such unpalatable deals that they rejected them, quite rightly, because they were awful. They were worse. They were terrible deals, worse than no Brexit. Brexit in name only. Brexit in name only, they were called. So what they're doing is they're basically cutting off all options one by one, but they're leaving one door wide open. Revoke Article 50. That's the idea. There's some good news. I haven't got into this. I'll have to cover this on a future video, but there's a video by a YouTube user called Maya Tousi. That's Mahyar Tousi. It sounds like a Turkish name. I'm not sure. He looks a bit sort of. He's not white. He's an Asian guy, and he's made a video called "The European Union Withdraw Support for Remainers." no deal Brexit is coming. And it's a very white-pilling video, and I hope it's true. But he basically said he made some of the points I made, which I didn't go into detail about. But I did say that the EU itself, as I said, has clashed with the globalist elements within the British government. I think the EU does want to get us out. They realise the damage being done to the entire country, the entire empire, and that they are thinking of letting Britain go and falling back as a fallback position to try and save the rest of their regime. Thanks for your comments on the notice, guys. Neptune Return says you're becoming obsessed with live streams, Ben. Oh, well, I'm going to be doing other things. I'm not going to just continue doing live streams on this. Don't worry, I don't have the stomach for it. And 69 Phuket says, oh, God, again, that lass from the Somerset, really? Who's that? Who's the lass from Somerset? Tina Silver says, see you there. Thanks, Tina. I know you're there right now. And Al McCall says, okay. I'll just go to your comments. I'm going to go through your comments this time because it's not a very long lead off, but where did I get to? Hello. Right. Rob Treehouse. Oh, James Tilly Matthews says, has Boris put his underpants on his head yet? I put 2 pencils up his nose like Blackadder, as he said, beep, wobble. Is that it? It was the Blackadder, wasn't it? They'll think you're mad. They'll ship you back to Blighty. Yeah. Rob says, Rob Object, who is Rob Tree. I know him as Rob Treehouse. He's real. I've met him. The puppetry's getting clumsier. The wires and strings seem a lot thicker. That's a great metaphor, and it's absolutely true. That's a good one. I'm nicking that. That's good. Likely because they push such crude charades, 9/11, JFK, David Kelly, etc., in front of us, and the most part get away with it. Yes, and you know what? They're not getting away. They're not getting away with it anymore. Jeffrey Epstein is the latest of this series. Joe Cox, of course. I think they had more success with Joe Cox. Jeffrey Epstein is really, really unbelievable. I think Joe Cox is really making no sense at all to people. Really, it's not. John Nolan, will the reptilians allow Brexit? I don't think they're going to have much choice. James Tilly Matthews, it's the Dutch Welsh extremists you have to watch out for. Well, that's me, isn't it? Goonlove, when is this pantomime going to end? Oh, Goonlove, I have no idea. Mrs. B, hello, Mrs. B. General election, yes. Purge the traitors. Exactly, Mrs. B. I don't know if you heard me later on, but I had to apologise because I know you exist. You're a real person, and I've met you. and I didn't recognise you. I thought, Mrs. B, who's that? Well, you don't, it was a bit hard to tell, but I could have told by the style of your speech because I know we do communicate a lot. So I thought that. Well, so sorry about that. Anyway, James C. Matthews, general elections are just what we need right now. Well, you know what, James? That's what the next thing he's going to do. Now he has to get 2/3 for a general election, 2/3. But I think. I don't know exactly what the process is. I think probably it's the best thing. Now, I know that the Labour are very split over the idea of a general election. Corbyn first said he did want one, then he said he didn't, so he's still got time to change his mind again. I don't know what will happen. If there's a 2/3 majority for an early general election, if they don't have an early general election, what happens? I don't know. Sonia White, deliberate destruction of the concentration span. Yeah, Sonia, the media use psychologists for that very purpose. They do. Rob said this is grand puppetry. Yes, and he also says there are unknowing players, easily steered those that really play. James C. Matthews, Churchill would roll in a vat of marmalade, Mr. Verlon. Winston Churchill was actually he's not what he appears to be, and I know it's almost blasphemy to criticize that man. seen as the brave war hero. But I mean, I could do a whole program on Churchill about his mental problems and things like that, and about how it goes into the history of World War II and things like that. And about the bombings and things like that he ordered. But I'm not going to go into that tonight. Euro gravy train, Villant Aura. Yeah, I'm sure that some of those MPs are thinking of their own pockets. I mean, the MEPs, being an MEP must be one of the most cushy numbers you can get. First class on the Eurostar, talk for 15 minutes in the Parliament, which has no power, no legislative authority at all. Then go off to the opera, spend some time at a restaurant, then back on the Eurostar to your country seat in Hertfordshire. Who's going to want to give that up, eh? Villanroy, deliver us our Brexit at once, you swines. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, that's very Jacob Rees-Mogg. James says Kenneth Clark is a Cox's Pippin without portfolio. Yes, he's a Cox's Orit Pippin without any pips. Rob says we knew 3 years ago this was going to happen. Well, Rob, do you remember my videos at the time? As I said, I record these things so people can go back and see what I said back then. So this is Pan Motif is very much a historical project as well as a news project. And I was talking about this. I was saying Nigel Farage is too soon to resign, too soon to retire. Do you remember he retired the day after the Brexit day, the day after the bloody referendum? I thought, what? No, come off it, man. It is damage control, Vrillon. They're trying to save the EU. Save the New World Order. But see, whatever happens with Brexit, I don't think they're going to succeed. I feel very optimistic. Diego Rivera, can Boris still force through Brexit? I don't know. I don't know exactly how it works, about how he can get his general election. Simply for the fact he's got rid of all those MPs, surely he has grounds. I mean, he's now the government is now a minority in the House of Commons, which he should never be. I mean, how are they going to let him carry on the way he is? The problem I think they're worried about, I mean, will it be good or bad? Because if he gets a general election and the Labour Lib Dems coalesce with the SNP, that's bad. But if he gets the Brexit party on side, he has a chance. And if he gets a government with the Brexit party, he can shut these people up. James City Matthews, we knew 43 years ago this would happen. Yeah, it's all planned in advance by a very long way. Rob said, are we Doris Stokes and Darren Brown? Who knew this was going to happen? Well, Darren Brown's a skeptic, but we know because you see the signs. I mean, I predict a lot of things, and a lot of things come true because I know how the system works. But I was wrong about 2016, wasn't I? I said all the things that happened in 2016. I said that would never happen. I said it could never happen. Sonia White, at least the puppet show is being shown for what it is. Yes, Sonia, as Rob very rightly put, the strings are thicker than Thunderbirds, aren't they? It's not, and that is what's going to destroy them. Well, Vrillon, they got 2 weeks to get there. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen now. I mean, maybe we'll know more by the end of the week. On Saturday, I'm going to make another video on Saturday in London. So hopefully we'll know more then. I do hope we'll know more then. James C. Matthews, maybe it's time to declare war on France. Usually works a treat. Well, I don't really think we don't have a cause for that, you know. I mean, with Macron in charge, it would be too easy. It wouldn't be fair, I don't think. But we don't want war. I mean, war might come, but we want to try and avoid it. Sonia, I was a bit concerned about your belief in Boris, Ben. Well, Sonia, as I said, I believe Boris deserves a chance. I've said that before. I know other people who don't agree. I know I was on Caroline Stevens' show less than an hour ago, and we were talking about this. And she has a different view. I think he deserves a chance, and he has lived up to his expectations. I don't know whether he will continue to. We will find out. I think the crucial thing is his relationship with Nigel Farage. That will be the proof of the pudding. That'll be make or break time for him. Will he get with Nigel to quote President Trump. Cosmic Claire said, I watched the Mahaya 2C video. He's Iranian and claims he came and says he came here as a child, mega pro-Brexit. He's a kind of refugee I'm happy to take. Yeah. He is, his videos, I've watched a few of his videos. They're very good. He's very pro-Brexit. And he's not, as a guy who's not British, he's obviously very, sort of, what's the word? Projected patriotism, I suppose you could call it. Hello, Green Sky. Williamism said, peace up room. I don't know what that means. Neil Desperandum. I think you're starting to live up to your name, and so am I. We're both fed up with this, aren't we? My first was grown. Oh, God. Yes. Now, Bung Holio, the Epstein drone video, I have looked at it. I don't have time to talk about that this evening because it's such a big subject. Sorry. But there's a massive things. James C. Matthews, Papa, yes. They don't make comedies like that anymore. They can't because they're not politically correct, are they? So, Williamism, hello. And James C. Matthews says, Epstein, the thinking man's Weinstein. I think Weinstein is the wine drinker's Epstein. James Silly Matthews says, I resent all this real person speak. As an MI5 chatbot, I demand self-determination. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I being real personsist? Am I not acknowledging your lack of privilege or your oppression of being a non-person? Oh, dear. Williamism says, I see Farage appearing in the outcome of this. So do I. If there is an outcome, it has to include him. Did you see his speech? Now, when all this fuss was going on in Parliament, he was making speeches. He's on tour with the Brexit Party. And the things he said are amazing. I managed to watch one of his speeches, and he talks about what he talks about makes complete sense. Whoever he is, he nails it on the head. He keeps saying back to the referendum, going back to basics. The referendum was passed, the way it's been subverted, things like that. And he says, we're going into a very dark place at the moment, and he's right. Kirk71, hello, Kirks. Completely agree about Churchill. He lost a war and wanted to win one. He's a big subject with Churchill. But if you watch my video, I did the Nick Colostrum one about the World Wars. That's a good one, I think. Diego Rivera, Boris Johnson thinks he's Churchill. Both are puppets. No, Churchill is. Johnson's not. Sonny White, people have been dumbed down yet. Yes, they have. Green Sky 17 says, I live in Dumfries and the SNP does not speak for the whole of Scotland. I'm glad to hear it, Green Sky. I really am. I mean, I'll maybe go into this later in a future video, but the thing is, if there is a Brexit, then Scotland does have a legitimate cause for a second independence referendum. However, I, as a Welshman, am very concerned about this because I see the same pathology in my own country. It's ridiculous to say that you are in favour of a nationalist favour of independence when you want to be wedded to the European Union. That is an absolute contradiction in terms. And it's got a lot to do with our history as countries and our relationship with England. The Irish are exactly the same. It's like we have this mental block in our head, this filter, which says these nations, the Celtic nations as they're called, wrongly. I know, Hugo, I know. Wrongly, Hugo, I know. That the so-called Celtic nations have this delusion that they can have no foreign enemy except England. Nothing could be further from the truth. Times have changed. We've moved on. England, Britain, Scotland, United Kingdom, whether you approve of that union or not, we are all a client state now. We are occupied territory of a new empire. And we have to unite to free ourselves from that empire. And then we can fiddle about. We can then fiddle about with the internal arrangements afterwards. Nothing, it seems, says Churchill would love to hear it. The controllers have been there a long time. Has anyone consulted Simon Parks? Says James Lee Matthews. He must know what to do. I've not seen his website, actually. What he has to say about this. Has he made a statement? I can't wait. I can't wait to see Jonathan Pye and what he says. I just have a look at his blog. He always puts up interesting stuff on his blog. Oh, his last one was the Santa Cruz boat fire. He's not commented yet. He comments on all kinds of things. Villanora, Euro doom porn in full effect on the BBC. Oh God, this is Euro doom porn. That's a good one, isn't it? Yep, that's a really good one. Yes, I see it now. Chancellor declares an end of austerity. Like hell. An end of austerity? Really? How many job seekers allowance people are now getting wages? How many people are out of food banks? What's he talking about? Where are we now? Right. I'll just go through the news. Boris Johnson calling on MPs to hold a early election. You have to get 2/3. Labour, SNP, and Liberal Dems says they will not vote in favour. Well, I don't know. The Labour are a bit lukewarm. Look, Johnson has dubbed the bill, which has just happened, is a surrender bill, and it absolutely is. He calls what's happened today a surrender bill. And what he said to Jeremy Corbyn last night was brilliant. Yes, so it's going to go to the Lords for approval. Peers are debating the business motion, how to move forward with the bill on Thursday, but pro-Brexit peers have laid down over 100 amendments to derail its progress. Oh, God. Oh, good. Oh, God, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do. People say they want to get rid of the House of Lords. I love the House of Lords. I think it's brilliant. They had Lord Hill Norton. He made the longest and most detailed speech about UFOs in the history of Parliament. But there's been some really great lords. PM warned on Tuesday. The PM warned today he would return to the Commons with a motion for an election under the Fixed Terms Parliament Act. Speaking as he introduced the motion, Mr. Johnson said the bill appeared approved to block a no-deal hands control to Brussels and scupper any serious negotiations. Yeah. He said it would force him to surrender to the EU, adding, "I refuse to do this, and it is clear there's only one way forward for our country. In my view, and in the view of the government, there must now be an election on Tuesday, October the 15th. Can he do that? Can Boris actually say, look, I'm just not going to do this. I'm going to refuse? Can he actually do that? Because I think I hate to think of him doing that, going to the EU because Parliament have forced him to do it. I really think if he's the man I think he is and hope he is, he won't do that. He will refuse, and he'll just say, "I'm not doing it." In which case, what do you do? There'll be another constitutional crisis. Maybe that's better. That's better than what we got now. And I hope perhaps anyone in the chat box who knows about the law when it comes to the Prime Minister simply refusing to do what Parliament tells him after they've taken control of business and they've got this ban on the no deal thing. Can they now force him? And what will he do? Will he end up in jail? Will he be done for treason? I mean, what's the law on this? Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn said Mr. Johnson's offer of an election was a bit like an apple. Oh no, sorry, it was a bit like an offer of an apple to Snow White from the Wicked Queen, offering the poison of a no deal. Yeah. Oh, he didn't use the word crash. Oh, he did. I was just going to say he hadn't used the term crash out. What does he say next? Let this bill pass and gain royal assent, then we will back an election so we do not crash out. So he did use the word crash out. When are they going to stop saying crash out? They won't think of something more original, will they? Because they like this vision. They know that propaganda works when it creates images in people's minds. Crashing out. So Britain is this guy who's been thrown through a back door. And there's splintered wood goes everywhere and broken glass, and he lies on the driveway with cuts all over him, unconscious. That's how propaganda works. I could give you hundreds of other examples, hundreds, and indeed I have done in my videos on my channel. Leader of the SNB, Ian Blackford. Oh God. He added, Mr. Johnson must accept the will of this House and accept the bill that Parliament has passed. Accept your duty as Prime Minister and go to the European Council on the 17th of October and negotiate the extension you've been instructed to deliver. I hope he buggers off. I hope he says no. Joe Swinson says, I'm putting the national interest first. I'm intrigued at this result of the vote. The Prime Minister's response messes up his plan. Oh, I'm not going to read any more what she says because she's disgusting. She's the most disgusting person in the whole house. Oh, what does the no deal bill say? The bill says the Prime Minister will have to have on the 19th of October to either pass a deal in Parliament or get MPs to approve a no deal Brexit. If he has a general election, he can do that. Maybe that's why Labour are against it. If he has a general election and he wins with the Brexit Party, he can do that. I think maybe I should tell you a story about what happened to me before when I finish work today. I will in a minute. I met somebody. Oh, God. Once this deadline is passed, he'll have to request an extension to the UK's departure date to the 31st of January 2020. And unusually, the bill actually includes the wording of the letter he would have to write. They want him to crawl, don't they? And Boris is not the kind of guy who crawls. I hope he stands up to them. I hope he refuses. Even if it breaks the law, I hope he refuses. If the EU responds by proposing a different date, will they, though? The PM will have 2 days to accept that proposal. During that time, MPs, not the government, will have the opportunity to reject the EU's date. The bill also requires ministers to report to the House of Commons over the next few months, potentially providing more opportunities to take control of the timetable. Be aware, though, this could all change over the next few days because MPs and peers have the power to pass amendments to any law. So, what this basically means is Boris Johnson, what the MPs have done is basically stop Boris Johnson being Prime Minister, stop him being leader. That's what it does. Meanwhile, the fallout from Number 10's decision to withdraw the party whip from 21 Tory rebels who backed the bill to block the deal has continued to face criticism from others across the party. A group of around 80 Conservatives have written to the Prime Minister calling for him to reinstate them on behalf of the One Nation caucus, the former Minister Damien Green. Yeah, some people say Boris has overplayed this and that he shouldn't have done what he did. He said he punished them too hard. I don't know. I reckon you could call it draining the swamp. But then again, I mean, I don't know. I don't know enough about what it's like to be an MP to say for sure. I'll just go through some of the news stories. I won't go through all of them. I've gone through the main things. The Prime Minister said had wanted right. The Prime Minister has wanted the job for so long. Oh, I'm not going to read Joe Swinston's stuff. PM wrong about the EU summit. Damien Grammatikas says Boris Johnson says an election would decide if he or Jeremy Corbyn goes to these negotiations in Brussels on October the 17th. Wrong. There's no negotiation at any EU summit. A UK leader doesn't negotiate directly with EU leaders. Negotiation has to be with the EU Commission, Mr. Barnier. So what does the Council of Nations do then? Because those are the ones that Theresa May talked about. It's funny, like, it's interesting to see how differently Boris Johnson is treating this to Theresa May. Theresa May was totally against any no deal. She was just trying to get more and more deals through Parliament and run the clock down before the end of April. Do you remember? Big decision by the SNP. We will not be party to the Prime Minister's games. Oh. As Green Sky was saying, the SNP does not speak for Scotland. The nickname for the SNP used to be the Tartan Tories. About to deliver the European Withdrawal Bill number 6. Oh, blimey. On Monday, Johnson was riding high. A week is a long time in politics, yes. A date proposed of election has been shifted. Originally, the date mooted by Number 10 was the 14th of October, but now it's been shifted to a later date, Tuesday the 15th. Oh, right. So after my birthday's on the 13th. So if Boris and the Brexit Party win, it'd be a wonderful present, the best one I could even imagine. It's apparently there was an unhappiness. Religiously observant Jews might have been able to go to the polling station if the vote was on the 14th of October. The date clashes with the first day of Sukkot, a Jewish religious festival. Oh, observant Jews cannot vote on this day. Oh, right, because all work is banned. It's like the Sabbath. Oh, right. I'll tell you what. I'm going to invent a religion, which means that they have to. If we don't leave the European Union by Halloween, I'm going to sue the government for discrimination against my personal religion. I'll call it no dealism. Kinnock, oh my God, Stephen Kinnock. All right, Stephen Kinnock, I think, is related. I think he's the son, actually, of His Royal Majesty, the European Commissioner, Lord Kinnock, the Welsh windbag. Oh God, who's this? Jess Phillips. Jess Phillips, the bathing in her victimhood. Oh. As I said, I'm not a fan. I don't support what Sargon of Akkad did, but I'm not a fan of Jess Phillips. I think Sargon handled it wrongly, but this doesn't mean she's the nice person in all this. No, she's not. I do like Sargon of Akkad, and I think he's a good guy. Jess Phillips is a horrible person. Caroline Lucas, MP, the wife of my school teacher, who comes from Oxford, but now I've never bloody seen her for years. You know, she came round to my house once, I remember, when I was a kid. Elections are rarely fought on one issue only. Well, they are now, Caroline. If we are able to break the Brexit deadlock in Parliament, then the people must lead the way. She urges the PM to back people through a second referendum. We've had a referendum. We're not having another one. If there's a general election, that will be essentially a second referendum. And that's it. That's enough news. I'm going to close that news page, actually. But anyway, guys, how are you getting on? How are you getting on? Oh, where are we? Where did I get to? I could tick it something. Mrs. B was watching Ian R. Crane this morning. He put it very well. If Farage stands candidates against the Conservatives, then we know he's false. Exactly, Mrs. B. Exactly. That is something I was saying in the last live stream or something like this. I said we will know that a test of Boris Johnson and Nigel Farage will be whether they cooperate or compete in the what's coming. Sonia White says, "Why do you believe in Boris, Ben?" Because, as I said, when he first became Prime Minister, I did a video about it, and I said on that video that there were certain tests that he would be subjected to, which will basically be a test of his sincerity. He's passed the first of those tests. That's why I believe in him. If he slips up at any other time, I will be sure to say so. Where are we now? Go back again. Every time the thing goes to the bottom, I have to just scroll up and find out where I left off. Kirk71 said they're trying for federalism, hence the meeting with the US with all the mayors. The federal, yes, they are. Well, essentially, we have federalism. The European Union is a federation. It's a federation similar to the United States of America or Australia. It's not a singular state. It's a federation of other states. Diego Rivera, could Boris become dictator and force through Brexit with the help of the English Bigfoot? Do you know what? I mean, I wonder if is our political system so corrupt now that it needs simply to be replaced by some kind of revolution? I don't know. That's after the English Bigfoot. I'll pop up to Boars Hill and ask him. Mrs. B says, if MPs defect from their party midterm, they should automatically be deselected and an election held. Exactly. People just don't vote for an individual. They vote for a party as well. Mrs. B, most of the people I know who vote say they don't say I'm voting for so-and-so. They say I'm voting Labour, I'm voting Tory, I'm voting Lib Dem. They name the party, which means that ought to be a rule, actually. That ought to be. This is why the cucks need all those cucks. I think there was 7 of them originally. There's now about 5 left. There was 7, then they went up to 11, and now there's about 5. They should all, Anna Soubry, all of them. They should all immediately be deselected. They should all have a by-election. They should have to re-fight their seats and give their own constituents the chance to decide whether they still want to vote for that person. Douglas Barter's legs. Brexit. I'm going to be at that, Douglas. Where's the details? Could you let us know where I can find the details of it? Because I heard about it. I haven't got the details yet, but I'm going to be there on Saturday. I promise you. Come say hello to me. Thunderbolts Project says nothing as it seems. James says, I think Boris should up stakes and run for the presidency of the United States. Well, I think if there's going to be an election there, isn't there? Well, he is actually an American citizen. He was born in the United States. Technically, he could, yeah. Villanora, all these traitor MPs are actually actively working for a foreign power, i.e. the EU, therefore should be locked up as spies, espionage agents. Precisely, Villon. It's a simple case of treason. They're collaborating with a foreign occupier. That's why, the whole thing with the EU is there shouldn't even have been a referendum. I don't think there should have been a referendum. What, Ben? You look at me in shock. What do you mean there shouldn't have been a referendum? You don't have a referendum on treason. You tear up your membership papers. You put the people who did it in jail. Everyone, going back to Ted Heath. You put them in jail. Sonia White, the last thing out of Pandora's box, hope, the curse of mankind. No, Sonia, no. Without hope, we have nothing. Without hope, I'd go and jump off a cliff right now. Lion Specs higher. It looks like it's 9:20. What's the time? It is, isn't it? Time to watch. Vote on whether there's election. Is there? Right. Is there actually going to be are they voting on the election now? Right. All I see now is Johnson calls on MPs to back October election. What does Laura Kunsberg say about it? Because hopefully we'll find out when this is going to be. Oh, she's not there. Because if there's a vote on the election tonight, I'll do it. Oh God, I'll do a part 2. Yes, I will. Maybe we'll find out. Looks like 9. Oh right, 9. Oh sorry, Lime 6. You're actually telling me what the time is. 9:20. That's now. Okay, I'll go to the news channel. I'll go to the. Let me go to. I won't go to the audio. I won't go to the video because then you won't be able to hear it, and it won't be any fun for you. But I'll just go to where we are now. This is funny. It's what the cool kids are doing. Tom McHaig of the Atlantic says, I'm in a pub in southeast London. A man has a laptop open with Parliament channel playing, friend watching too, Bernard Jenkins speaking as I walked in, hashtag the is not normal. It's funny, you normally see sports, isn't it? People watching a pub. Jenkins, right, this is what Sir Bernard Jenkins says. There's a fear in this house about facing the consequences of a general election. All right. This is the way. Well, everything's frightening about now, isn't it? That's because the way this house has conducted the whole affair for Brexit for 3 years. Putting it off again and again isn't going to make the eventual outcome of a general election any easier. They're doing it deliberately. MPs begin voting. The debate comes to an end, and MPs are now voting on the early election motion. Thank you, Lime Specs. Correct. I didn't know they were going to do it today, so thank you for letting me know. Tina Silver says, Bourdain looks just like Epstein. Perhaps Epstein was on ice. Bourdain was on ice to be Epstein's corpse. Well, I don't know, Tina. I mean, there are some people who look remarkably similar. I don't go along with this Alex Jones, Bill Hicks thing, but Vermont says, mind your language. What a show. Have I been swearing, Levilon? Have I been cussing? Sorry about that, but I get angry. Rob says, after the transparent lies of the last 2 decades, it seems evident that the referendum and result was a setup to show what can happen to a big, proud empire like Britain if you try to change the New World Order. Rob, I don't think the referendum was a setup, but the referendum wasn't meant to happen. It wasn't part of the plan. It was like when the ring went to Bilbo Baggins. But the way they have dealt with this has really made their cards fall to the table. It really has. You put it very well. The puppet strings are visible. We're making plans for Nigel Farage. There's nothing as it seems. James says Epstein was Big Bill Clinton's sausage double. Rob, I think they were hoping, of course, that the referendum would go down on the side of Remain, in which case they could say that the black sheep of the EU family had decided to stay in. It would mean they would never have to have a referendum again, wouldn't it? Mrs. B says it will be worth it in the end. It will. I mean, I agree, Mrs. B. It's we can't lose this one. I promise you. This is, however awful this seems, and it is awful. When you step back, take a look at the bigger picture. This is great. This is hilarious. We are looking at the New World Order with spanners flying out of its engine room and smoke coming out of its exhaust pipe. James City Matthews, whatever happens, England prevails. That's a line from V for Vendetta. Sonia White says, come back, big brother, all is forgiven. Well, you know, Sonia, if we had something as obvious as Big Brother, that would be great, wouldn't it? Hugo Roon says, you say Celtic, I say Gaelic or Gaelic. True, I know, yeah. Make Britain great again, says Goonlove. Yes. Johnny White, I can't stand Jonathan Pye. Oh, I love him. I think he's hilarious. I know I don't agree with everything he says, but he's just so funny, and he's just like, and I like his ideas. I mean, he's like a Remainer, but he understands the issues we make. He really does. Slaxer Asnada. Hello, Slaxer. How are you, my friend? Thanks for joining. It's really good to see you again. I hope you're all right. I know you've had some problems, and I'm sending you all my best. And I got to apologise for not watching your channel. It's because I have my own psychological needs at the moment, and it's not because I've gone off your channel or gone off you. It's just I have to look after myself as well, and I will come back to it. I promise you at some point when I'm in a state of mind to do so. Cosmic Claire, the Celtic nations are so obsessed with hating England, which is the basis for their prosperity, that they would rather commit suicide than admit the union is good for them. Better than the EU or SSR. Claire, unfortunately, that's partly true. I mean, I don't believe that. I mean, the union is not necessarily the best thing for them. I mean, I used to be a very rabid Welsh nationalist. I'm not anymore, but I'm pretty ambivalent about the Welsh nationalist cause. Same with the Scots. But you're right about this obsession with hating England. That has been their downfall. As I said, they really believe they cannot have a foreign enemy other than England. Ireland did this when they signed the Lisbon Treaty into law. They got the euro. But they just said, "Oh, at least we beat the Brits in 1920. That's all that matters." No, it's time for another Easter Rising and finish the job this time. David Schultz says it's a planet, not an empire. Is that a quote from Star Wars? Villanora, these bloody EU Johnny foreigners are the real enemy. Well, not the people. I mean, I was actually in a pub when I finished work. I would like to have spent longer with these people because they were brother porters. Two of them are Polish. One was sort of, born in England, but he's got Irish roots. And those guys are. They have the camaraderie we have together. We porters, it's like, we're real buddies in boats kind of people. Funny enough, the Irish guy, well, he's born in London and everything. He talks with a Cockney accent. He's quite an old guy. His wife's sick with cancer, and I met up with him. I haven't seen him for years, and had a talk with him. And he was obviously, he'd had a few drinks, and he was like really upset because his wife's in the oncology ward with cancer. They've been married for about 40 years, and it's like. And the thing is, he is very left wing. I mean, I don't know if he's actually an orthodox Marxist or something, but he's like a shop steward, and he's like the guy from I'm All Right, Jack. Russia, work in the fields, having fun, and then ballet in the evening. He's one of those kinds of people, And he was saying, "Oh, Boris has fucked it up really good and proper, but don't worry, Labour will beat him." Labour, yes. I know Jeremy Corbyn, and we go back years. We're like best buddies and things like that. And there's some good guys in Oxford with momentum and stuff like that. And I was sitting there thinking something, Eamon, I've disagreed with you so much. I mean, I'm like, I really do disagree with him, and I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to get into an argument with a guy whose wife is sick, and do you know what I mean? And so I like the guy. He stood up for me actually in a time when nobody else would. And I'll never forget that. I'm very grateful for him for that. It's the ODO thing. If you watch my Theo's video, but that's the Eamon I'm talking about. That's him. I mean, I won't tell you his full name. I don't, obviously, but he's a good guy. Long live England, says James Tilly Matthews. Yeah, exactly. Don't panic. Don't panic. There's big friendly letters on the cover of the book. Yes. 2 fingers to the EU, says Eleanor. Slaxer says, off topic, but on my mind right now is the fact that the word is terminally ill, psychologically speaking. I've zero illusion that life is a forced game of Russian roulette on a socio-political level. Of Russian roulette. It is like that. This word is terminally ill, psychologically speaking. What word's that? This life is a forced game of Russian roulette on a socio-political level. Oh, it is. Yes. It's pretty awful, isn't it? Where are we now? I guess Slaxer also says, on topic, I really guess we've been forced to enter states of advanced mental illness. You could say, Slaxer, I mean, I was watching a video which talking about like surveys they'd been doing with people, and there's a large number of people that say they just don't have any internal dialogue, and that they were essentially that's when the term NPC came from, on non-player characters. I know you're a gamer, you understand things like this, and you could say it's a kind of mental. We are all, in a say, mentally ill because we live in a sick society. I mean, Terence McKenna talked about this. I don't have any. I can't really say anymore. Maybe that's maybe a talk for another video. Diego Vera, can Boris and Queen force through a Brexit even though Freddie Mercury is dead? Oh my goodness me! It's a kind of magic. I don't know. I don't know what the rules are. I mean, we're going to have to wait and see. My hope is that if Boris is pushing the corner, he will not surrender. He will just refuse. James Tilly Matthews says, we'll pull through. We always do, Mr. Slacks. I hope so. I hope we do, James. Goonlove just goes to show how corrupt this country is. James Tilly Matthews, I doubt that the Queen could force through a stale mince pie. Well, the Queen, her royal lizardness, if you remember, is a... You know what she did? She actually dismissed the Australian Prime Minister. Yeah, I mean, they talks about that. Villon, these MPs are a bloody disgrace. They might as well bugger off to Brussels. I think, Villon, they're after that job, aren't they? I think they want to get what they want. They want what they want out of the EU. The EU is a gravy train for them, as someone said earlier on. Slaxer says, I know that something has to change. The system is killing people. It's like the poor folk at the top of the WTC. Face the fire or jump. It's getting like that, isn't it, Slaxer? It's structural violence. Yeah, structural violence. It's. I mean, I don't agree with the zeitgeist movement or anything like that, but I know that Peter Joseph is always talking about structural violence. He's got the wrong idea, but he's right about that part of things. He really is. The system is sick. That's what makes people sick. That's why we have suicide rates shooting up. So I don't want to forget I said that. No, we have a lot of people really, really ill and upset, and it's really terrible. It's really terrible. And it's changing it, improving it will be the greatest thing humans have ever done. Inventing fire, kid stuff. Anyone could do that. Building the aeroplane, inventing the wheel, nah. Small potatoes. No, beating the New World Order will be the greatest thing we've ever done. Getting ourselves out of this cesspit. Has chat stopped Lime Specs? Oh, I don't know. Has it? I don't think so. Let's go back to where I was. But you see, this is what I said to the Remainers. The Remainers say, but we can't leave the EU. Without the EU, we're doomed. All the poorest people will suffer the most. That's what you always get. Don't you care about the poor people? Well, firstly, I'm not exactly rich myself. I'm better off than a lot of people. I have a job, I have a roof over, I have food on. So that's rich, but as far as I'm concerned. But comparatively, I'm not very well off. But how are the poor coping with the EU? We have over 1 million now on job seekers allowance working for nothing. As I said last night, that's slavery, isn't it? But the cost of labour has dropped so much that we effectively have reintroduced slavery now. We have people on food stamps, people at food banks. The number of homeless people in my own hometown of Oxford has doubled, I think, in the last few years. I mean, you always get like, I always remember there was always a few, one or two sleeping the rough on the streets. My dad, when he was a kid and he lived here for a while, he said, yeah, you get one or two. There's got to be a dozen now. You can't walk through town without, at least 3 or 4 beggars coming up to you asking for money. It's everywhere. So if this EU is so bloody wonderful, why, Remainers, why is it doing this? How well off are poor people in this EU occupied nation? Do you think these people have anything to lose by taking a gamble on Brexit? These are people who are not frightened of a no-deal Brexit, not frightened of change, any change that Brexit could bring. They're frightened that things will just carry on as they are. Brilliant, Nora. We'll fight them on the beaches. Yes, a BBC actor actually recorded that. It wasn't Winston Churchill. But yes, I mean, as I said, if they want their 39 billion, I said this, let them come and collect it. We'll meet them on the beach. Fight them in Poundland. Yeah, Poundland. Did you see that meme about the woman who was sacked she was made redundant from Poundland? Went on to job seekers allowance and ended up back in there doing the same job she was before for nothing. Of course, they're creating vacancies for these slaves, aren't they? It's obviously it's increasing unemployment. James Tilly Matthews, the system has always been this way. We always make it though stronger, longer, even more absorbent. Yeah, it's a toilet paper analogy. Yes, I think that goes back to Blackadder as well, doesn't it? Winslow Burdett, I know Winslow. You and I are both mutual friends of Slaxer, aren't we? I'm really glad Slax is here. I'm really pleased to see him. Rob says, is it really possible that anyone who gets to such a level of apparent power actually has any free will to operate on their own terms? Wasn't JFK the end of such an idea? He was at the time, Rob, but times have changed. It's like I said, the 2016 really changed everything, because I know for a fact that Trump wasn't meant to be there. Trump getting into the White House was a complete aberration to the New World Order agenda. The fact that can happen means there are limits on their power. They are not all powerful. They are not omnipotent. They are not omniscient. They make mistakes. They lose their grip. The powers that be, the Illuminati, don't have everything their way. GJB2, the SNP like Jimmy Cranky fan club. Yeah, Jimmy Cranky looks just like Nicola Sturgeon, doesn't he? James City Matthews, Boris the Poundland Pinochet. You've been watching Kevin Logan, haven't you? Boris the sex maniac. How will this affect Brexit? Is he a sex maniac? I saw his partner, is it? And she looks as you'd expect her to look. But of course, he's like President Trump. Guys like that can get themselves like very young, glamorous women, and it's because that's life, I guess. Phil and Nora, a 3-litre bottle of Frosty Jacks will be open if we defeat the bill. Oh, I will. On Brexit Day, I won't open my disclosure champagne, but I'll get another bloody bottle of champagne, I'll tell you. On my Brexit champagne, yeah. James Tilly Matthews, imagine Boris giving gusto on live TV. Now that's a vote winner. I really would like to see a general election. I would, because I want to see Boris and Nigel up there together. Anyway, I've got some news, breaking news. MPs reject a motion for an early election, quite unanimously. Ayes 928, noes 56, majority 242. The ayes have it, but the motion has not obtained the 2/3 majority required. Okay, so there was it's not quite 2/3, so that's a shame. Actually, is that good or bad? I don't know. I can't really tell. Ooh, Bojo, your only hope for a long. Well, you know the way. Just imagine if anyone else is prime minister right now. Paul Culliford, hello, Paul. I think Nigel just wants us out just as much as Boris. Yes, those two could work so well together, as we've just heard from Mrs. B. Ian R. Crane was saying. That's the test. Will they work together? James T. Matthews, he's not the leader we want, he's the leader we deserve. Yes. Bojo, yeah. As I said last night, of all the prime ministers we've had, certainly in my lifetime, before as well, looking at history, he's the only one I can think of that I look at and feel any real respect for, any admiration. Hugo Roon, I never vote. Look what a mess voting has got us into. Well, before 2016, Hugo, I would have agreed with you. But now I would say no. Things have changed. Sweeps, hello, Sweeps. How are you? Sweeps Fox is in the house. Thumbs up again for the coverage, Ben. You're welcome, Sweeps. We do not know that the worst politicians have convinced the public is that they are civil servants. BS, yeah. That's I think you've been watching That Trap, haven't you? That's a very good documentary by Adam Curtis, and it's absolutely true. The worst politicians of the world are the ones that keep saying that they're in it for the public good. Diego Rivera says, "Will there be a general election?" At the moment, they haven't passed the bill, so we don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know what can be done. I don't know if that means there can be. It says it's an early motion. I don't know if that means there's going to be another one. An early motion is kind of like what I do when I get up in the morning. Oh yeah. So anyway, let's have a look. Johnson has said Corbyn should reflect on his position. He says Jeremy Corbyn has become the first leader of the opposition in the democratic history of our country to refuse the invitation of an election. I can only speculate as to the reason behind his hesitation. The obvious conclusion, he does not think he can win. Yes. Well, I think they want to keep things as they are. Mrs. B, I'm glad they had a referendum. It gave us a voice after 50 years. Yes, Mrs. B, it's the first time. Like I said, 2016 is the first time I actually thought it was worth voting. And in the post-2016 world, it's worth voting. Before then, I'd have said no. In fact, I had a debate with Ian R. Crane about this. It was a private debate. We were just in a pub after one of his talks. And he was saying, you've got to engage the game. And I said, no, there's no point. But now it's different. And he's right. We have to vote. Yeah. James C. Matthews, you've got to laugh. The referendum asked, do you want a non-representative government based in London or Brussels? Lol. James, no, not in the post-2016 world. It's changed since then. Yeah. Vrillon Ora says, I was only 3 when we joined the EEC. Oh, Vrillon, you were a sweet baby, I bet. Yeah. Winslow Burdette. Hugo Roon, I like the flush line, Mr. Matthews. Oh. Everyone's borrowing each other's memes because we're all so witty. Sweeps, I'll try again, Ben. Well, Sweeps, I can't answer everyone's question. I can't answer everyone's comments the moment you post them. Okay? I can't. You're going to have to be patient. Thumbs up. The worst thing politicians have convinced the public of is that they are public servants. Well, like I've already answered that. Yeah. David Schultz. The YouTube thought police have removed more than 100,000 videos, 17,000 channels, and 500 million comments since April. Yeah. YouTube is the Ministry of Truth. This is odd. Vrillon Aura has posted best move to BitChute. And guess what? I have to approve it. It's a show hide one. Why, Vril? I mean, there are some where people swear and things like that, and they post links, and those are like held for approval. Why has Best moved to BitChute? I'll show it anyway. For some reason, BitChute, the BitChute algorithm, the YouTube's algorithms have said that BitChute is a dirty word. James says this referendum was just a shindig over all the letterheads. No, it wasn't. Tina Silva, Britannia waives the rules. That's a good one. Yeah, James, maybe we can persuade Miles Johnson to tip up some of his sentient fluid. If the black goo is listening, can do anything, yes, please. Is the black goo good or bad? I don't know. Phil or Comrade Corbyn, that's all we need. Oops, we're down at the bottom again. Slaxer says, never let politics come between you and Eamon. Life's too short. Well, honestly, that's why I kept my mouth shut, Slaxer. That's why I didn't say anything. I didn't get into an argument with him. I'm not going to get an argument with a man who was one of the few people who stood up for me. He stood up for me. He's the only person who stood up for me. If you read my ODO article, or you watch my St. Theo's video, even not the last one, the one before probably, you'll see what I mean. And that he, like I said, his wife's sick, and he's obviously in distress. He had a few drinks and he was in distress. I don't care if he's Joseph Stalin. I'm not going to. He's a brother porter, and if you want, I'll get into a polite debate with him when he's in a better state, when he feels better. You know, if he didn't ask me outright what I believed. If he had done, I'd have answered honestly, but he didn't. If he'd asked me about how I voted in the Brexit referendum, I'd have told him the truth, but he didn't ask me. So there. James says, Mr. Ben counters, the Nephilim Jones of the Nephilim Jones kind will see us through. I'll do my best, James. I will not surrender. I promise you. I promise I will not surrender. Virulent Aura, Comrade Corbyn would have the EU army patrolling our streets, hunting for Brexiteers. Yeah, he will. Tina says we need to focus on stopping fracking. Yes, we do. Fracking is a terrible thing. It's and the thing is, like, they're demolishing the coal-fired power stations and replacing them with them. You know, the Didcot. I mean, you may have seen it actually, because I know you come from that area. They've now destroyed the Didcot chimneys, but they have gas-fired power stations there. But the gas comes from Russia. It doesn't come from Britain anyway. And you know, the gas, there's very little gas in the ground. Actually, there's less gas than they're saying. They're just taking people's money and they're filling the ground with toxic chemicals. James says, we're British, for fuck's sake. We've always been the mental basket case of Europe. It's our greatest strength. Yeah. Greens guy says, does Elton John still sing the song Made in England? Because I'm sure he's a Remainer. I'm not sure. Is he a Remainer? I don't know. I know J.K. Rowling is. Videos from the Underground. Hello, Videos from the Underground. Nigel says no deal on his talk show. Boris and him still should join. Yes. But this thing about Farage's thing about no deal, that's his big difference with that's the big difference with Boris Johnson. I think that can be put aside. Sonia says madness is only a forgotten way. Was it Nikos Kazantzakis, that scene, Zorba the Greek? A man needs a little madness, or he dare not cut the rope and be free. Slaxer says, right. Slaxer, yeah, no problem. Slaxer had a tragedy, and you can see about it on his channel when a close associate of his, a good close friend who he loved very much, took her own life. And I'm really sorry, mate. I really am. James says we're corrupt, insane, lost to all reason, completely wonderful. It's a crazy world, but I'm proud to be a part of it, as Bill Hicks said. Villanora, Yuri Bezmenov and his colleagues did a great job in the West since the fall of the USSR. Yeah, that interview he did with that guy, like, it was actually, I had to look at him twice. It's actually G. Edward Griffin, but he was very young back then, and I didn't recognize him. But Yeah, that was back in the 80s he did that. It's very predictable, isn't it? That's very predictable what's happened. You know, the breaking down society thing. Rob says, it's no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society by J. Krishnamurti. I thought that was Martin Luther King. I think Martin Luther King said something similar. It's absolutely true. Neil Desperandum said, Ben, have you seen the video where a student goes around campus with a petition to stop the killing of unborn eagles, which they sign eagerly but object to a petition killing unborn humans? I haven't, Neil, but I sadly, it doesn't surprise me at all that they're doing that. The abortion thing is just horrific. I mean, in Ireland, I mean, I've been talking to this, you know, the guy who spoke at Dreaming Sources about, you know, it all happened since then. They abolished the 8th Amendment, and now unborn babies can be killed. It's terrible. Villanora says Greta Thunberg will be deciding over the EU negotiations. Greta Thunberg should be in school. I don't believe she's 16 now. She's at least 2 to 3 years younger than that, and she's obviously. I think she needs to go to a special school. I think they're abusing a mentally ill child with what they're doing to her. Sonny White, the sight of freedom is offensive to slaves. That's an interesting saying, because that's rather like flying is considered a mental illness by birds who have never left their cage. Yeah. Cosmic Claire, the New World Order is like a flea that thinks it can defeat the collective mind of the human species. In the end, Claire, I think we'll find that it is. Yes. Yeah. In the end, we will win this. Mrs. B says, if they were on JSA, they're getting money. If it works out at the minimum wage, then it's just a big government, the ultimate communist state where people's wages are paid via the government, not the company. Yes, Mrs. B, the one of the most sinister things, apart from it being extremely unjust, then what these people are effectively civic slaves. They're essentially employees of the welfare state. So yeah, maybe the plan is that probably that we'll all end up like that. Matty Newman, hello. I live in wealthy Surrey. Brexit will not affect me. Only poor gammons and blacks will be affected by Brexit. Well, I object to your racism there. And when I say your racism, I don't mean you using the word blacks to refer to black people. I reject your use of the word gammon, which is a racist term for white people. That is the racist term you used in that statement. And I can assure you that everybody, I think, will be better off with Brexit. I really do. Apart from those reptilian overlords who rule us. Those archons, those demonic beings that have infected our culture and our communities and our nations and our planet. Hello, Martin Pratt. Insert Pie Now. Hi, Insert Pie Now. I still believe Boris is going to show us what a great man he is. He has a chance. I'm giving him a chance. So far, so good. We'll soon see. But so far, he is really living up to our expectations. James says, I still think Tony Topping could have an inside track on this one. I hope so. I mean, I haven't spoken to him, but Tony Topping for PM. Simon Parkes for PM. Oh, slip to the bottom again. Back we go. Cosmic Claire. Jung says you need to make decisions. Not participating as a lack of agency. There's always some wiggle room and choices. One is always slightly better than the other. That's interesting, Claire, because, you know, we had a bit of a debate last night with Mrs. B. I know Mrs. B was wanted to talk about that, where somebody said that protesting is useless. And I spoke privately with Mrs. B about this as well. And Mrs. B, we know that protesting does good. We've both been on protests. That's how we met. And we know how positive they are. It doesn't matter what happens in the government. It makes no difference. What the fact is that we ourselves understand. We build communities and bonds ourselves. The public see us, and however the news media reports us, the internet means that people will see other things. People will see my video, rather not just the BBC showing a few hundred people turning up and saying, or a few people demonstrated in favour of Brexit. So absolutely, participation. Yes, participation is essential. It is actually the decision to act, not whether you win or lose, that makes you free. As Chris Hedges said, I don't agree with Chris Hedges on a lot, but he's right about that. The freedom is not winning, is not becoming free. Freedom is fighting for freedom. James says Simon Parkes would be the right honourable topping Jacob Rees-Mogg. I'd love to see those two. Yeah. Hello, Fenlander. How are you? And Insert Pie now says Boris is Dolan. Well, Richard Dolan? No, heard that conspiracy theory. Diego Rivera, I think Boris will force through Brexit. If there's any way he can, Diego, I really hope he does. Let's have a look at the news again. House of Lords update. Hang on. Oh. The BBC saying this. They've got a little video here of Burko. Watch the moment when the PM lost his third successive Commons vote. Oh, God, they're so one-sided, aren't they? The Lib Dems, stopping no deal is the priority. She says here, we will not support an election until Article 50 has been extended. She doesn't want Article 50 extended. She wants it revoked. She said so. The House of Lords update. MPs now carry on their usual business, in this case presenting public petitions to the House. Over in the House of Lords, peers are still voting on amendments to the business motion which aims at ensuring a no-deal Brexit has time to become law before the suspension of Parliament. They're currently discussing Amendment 2C. All right. There's 100 amendments to get through. There's talk of them talking till they drop to get through these amendments so they can deal with the bill. It's not going very fast. There are attempts to get behind-the-scenes talks going, but the government seems prepared to talk it out. The bill may have a bumpy ride. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if this is good or bad. Oh, man. Phil on Aura. Now, if we had Richard Dolan for PM, we would not be in this mess. Yeah, I mean, Richard Dolan is another guy, obviously, I'd like to see in a position of authority. As a representative, I like him. I think he's good. We'd have disclosure, wouldn't we? Matt says, I'm not from England, but I think Brexit is not good too. Well, Matt, I'm not one of these people that says, if you're not British, you've got no right to say anything. I'm not going to do that. You're perfectly entitled to have an opinion on that and express it. And you're not necessarily less qualified than anyone else. But Brexit is good for the reasons I've explained. James says, Richard Dolan is the internet's clickbait Bryce Zabel. I don't know. Bryce Zabel wrote AD with Richard Dolan. I've got a copy. I've got 2 copies of it, actually. Philon Aura, yes, BITCHUTE is a rude word. If my videos were monetized at all, then they'd be demonetized then. Mrs. B, yes, Yuri Bezmenov warned us. He did. That, if you haven't watched that interview from, I think, 1986, please do go and watch it. There's a young G. Edward Griffin interviewing a KGB defector. Very interesting. I'm very interested in spies at the moment because I'm researching spies because this is an element of my new novel. But I'm essentially researching more the Soviet spies during the Cold War. That's the guys in the West who spied for the Soviets. Insert Pie now says it could be worse, like Jeremy Corbell always trying to polish a turd. What do you mean? Insert Pie now. I quite like. I've only watched his Bob Lazar movie. I thought it was good. I've not watched the Skinwalker one, but that's the next one on my list. Phil on Aura says the Psy Wars come full circle. Yeah, Sonia, why were you putting your faith in Boris, Ben? I know better. I've known it for 30 years. Well, Sonia, if you have any details that could change my mind, feel free. I mean, we'll discuss it. I mean, you can put comments on any of my videos. But I'm saying Boris should have a chance. I'm not putting all my faith in him. I'm saying he deserves a chance. Insert Pie now. I've not watched the Skinwalker Ranch film. I want to see that. I'm very interested in it. I've seen Bob Lazar, which I thought was good. The Roswell slides. Oh, the Roswell slides. I'm talking about ancient history. Villain Aura says, now I know how to cuss in Hindi. I don't know. I don't know if we have anyone from India watching. Is B-I-T, the B-I-T word, the B word, is that a rude word in Hindi? Mrs. B says, yes, it's our own governments using these mind control techniques on us. Correct. Insert pie now. Yep. Villain Aura, just watch the BBC. James, we've entered the age of the rational mystic. Corporate UFO, ka-ching. What do you mean, insert point now? Are you talking about Corbell? James says, definite corporate truth technologies filled with bullshitting blooms. Historic hardy perennials, Mr. Insert. Filled with... I don't know what you mean. Sonia, this is the rule of the most stupid. Well, of course, Sonia, they don't want clever people. This is why they're dumbing us down. This is why IQ is dropping. This is why they're filling us with poisons to affect our brain. This is why they're filling the sky with chemicals to suppress our mental processes. This is why they got 5G. They don't want intelligent people. Intelligent people are hard to govern. Intelligent people ask questions. Did you ever see Stefan Molyneux's videos on IQ and stuff like that? Because they're very good. Because he looked at surveys of people of different IQ percentiles and what they thought about things like free speech. The thing about people, I know this is politically incorrect to say this, but there are people who are simply thick. They are simply dumb. They don't have a very high intelligent level. Those people like that are more likely to be against free speech. They're more likely to be very conventional, very conformist. They're more likely to be obedient. James T. Matthews, a kakistocracy. Is that what it means? The most stupid being the elite. That's a good word. Kakistocracy. I knew plutocracy, things like that, all these other words ending in ocracy. Yeah. Crapitocracy. Oh, Hugo Rune says crapitocracy is better. Yeah. James says, oh, hang on, I've gone to the bottom. Da-da-da-da-da. I had to pay triple bone to get my latest cleaners in this. All right. When are we going to... Right. James, when are we going to see Mr. Ben Counter's Mankini photos? As soon as you put £500,000 in my PayPal. Neil Desperinum says, Ben, yes, as David Starkey said on Question Time, people don't like being freed. The French proved this as they spent 70 years in their mood forming a denial narrative. Nations can only free themselves. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, people who have low IQs don't like freedom. Freedom is something for clever people. I know it's an arrogant and politically incorrect thing to say, but it is... Yes, it's unfortunately, this is why they're dumbing down the IQs. This is why they're dumbing down our intelligence. This is why education is so thick, making people just repeat meaningless facts and not think. As George Carlin said, university is not for the clever anymore. They say, you got a pen, you can get in. Good old George Carlin, yes. Tina Silver says, watch the movie Fourth Protocol for info on moles and Russian spies. Thanks. Tina, was it a book? Was it John le Carré? I like John le Carré. Thanks very much. Martin Pratt, agreed, Ben. The Bob Lazar film by Corbell was good. In fact, I thought it was very good. Yes, it was. Now, it wasn't what I expected, Martin. It was not a, you see, I was expecting it being like a biopic about his life in Area 51. Indeed, someone is actually in the pre-production for a feature film about Bob Lazar and about how he went to Area 51 and things like that. And I'm looking forward to that enormously. But it was the Bob Lazar film by Corbell was like a profile of him now. So it filled in a lot of gaps between 1989 and now, and I thought that was very good. I found it excellent. It was a real insight into him and his life, interviews with his wife, with his mother, with his colleagues and things like that. Very, very good. Rob said, if you want a head clang and haven't seen it already, look up the 1980 film They Live. Yes. Goonlove, what's the film about? Oh, but Goonlove, please watch it. Watch it. Just go and watch it and report back to me. That's your homework for this evening. It's a film you will never, ever forget. It says it all. Martin says, Ben, when are we going to see the episode 2 of Hunting for Moran? Oh, yeah. I'll ask Tino about that. It's his movie. But I was in it. I was the Bigfoot-like person, yeah. 5G warfare grade microwave tech, says Verlon. Yes. James Lee Matthews says kakos, Greek for shit. Oh, right. So it's ruled by shit. Yeah. Very good. David Schultz says, say, Ben, speaking of spies, have you ever seen the TV show The Americans? No. What's it like? Hello, Steve071. Got back from work again? Oh, you've just been busy, so you joined again. Oh, well, thanks for joining us, Steve. Vrillon says, Max Otto von Stierlitz, the Russian James Bond. Oh, right. Sonia White, yes, the sight of freedom is offensive to the slaves. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I can't believe it. I've had no emails. Oh, blimey. Have I? What's happened? Oh, sorry, my browser's broke down. Sort of weird things are happening here. Oh, where am I now? Oh, let's look at the news again, just see what's happening. What's the time? Oh, it's 10. I'm going to end it soon, actually, I think. You guys all right if I call it a night soon? Just want to say hello. Any new people joined? Okay, just one moment. Right, the latest news is what happened today. There's been yet another busy day in British politics, but here are the key points. The bill seeking to prevent a no deal on the 31st of October cleared the Commons. It now heads to the House of Lords, where a filibustering operation could hold it up its progress. The PM's motion for an early election failed to get a two-thirds majority needed to pass. Boris Johnson had his first Prime Minister's questions since this, etc., etc. And the Chancellor, forget the Chancellor. Is there a public support for a new referendum? Britain elects. Right. Support 46%, opposed 41%. Oh, right. So the polling, at the moment, says that I think they're saying a second referendum. So in favour of that is slightly more than opposed, according to YouGov. But, remember the opinion polls before the first referendum? They were all saying that, you know what they said? Can you trust these opinion polls? Mrs. B said, the great film. Oh, right, that's, is that The Americans? Right, you are, Mrs. B. My family watch it Christmas Day, better than Disney. Maybe I'll check that out, Mrs. B. Hugo Rune, okay. Diego, if the aliens invaded, would you still vote Brexit? It would depend, actually, on who the aliens were and what they wanted. I think, well, personally, you see, I think the aliens have already invaded and they're already here. You mean if they actually landed in their spaceships? I think that's one of the few things that could actually put Brexit on the back burner. Villanora, Greta Thunberg has cancelled Article 50. Neil Desperando, the fourth protocol is one of Frederick Forsyth. Oh, right, yeah. The film starred Michael Caine, Pierce Brosnan from 1987 about the clandestine construction of a nuclear device in Britain via defector rogue KGB. Oh, right. Night, Sonia. Thanks for posting. David Schultz, as George Carlin said, the owners don't want critical thinkers. They just enough intelligence to run the machines. Precisely. The stupider, the better. With epsilons from Brave New World. Jimmy Jenkinson says you can watch They Live. Yes, it is on YouTube. That's correct. Please do go watch it. Goonlove, for God's sake, go and watch They Live if you've not seen it. Yuman Pedema, Greta Thunderbird has nothing to do with Brexit. That's the point of his joke. Love to you, Sonia. Night. Yeah, God, that poor girl. What they're doing, man, to that poor girl. They should be done under POVA laws for what they're doing to her. James, if the aliens invaded, I'd source a Jack a free ride out, make any way to the planet. The MILF differs, Mr. James, I've seen that movie too. I'm going to call it a night now, guys. All right. It's 10 past 10. I think this has been a good live stream. Lots coming up. Saturday, I'm going to London, so I'll be making a video then. Don't forget, tune into Hapanwo Radio tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock on Hapanwo Radio. what else is happening? At some point, I'm going to the UFO Truth Magazine conference weekend after next, so it'll be good to get back to UFOs. Actually, I need to get away from Brexit. I'm going to have to cover Brexit a bit longer, but I'm not expecting to do a video now before Saturday. If I do, of course, I'll let you know. It'll be a live stream if something happens about something. But if there's some big news, I'll just talk about it on. I'll talk about it on Saturday. Night, Hugo. Night, Tina. Night, Denise. And bye. Neil, Tina, didn't you know that? Tina, have you not watched American Pie? Bye, Steve. Nighty, Mrs. B. Take care. Hope to see you soon. Take care. Hugo Room, good night. Night, Ollie, man. James Tilley Matthews. Keep your thighs to the skies, keep your ear to the ground. That's like something that Rich Planet would say. Thanks, Alien Biker. Much appreciated. Bye, Fenlander. Night. You're welcome, Cosmic Claire. Thank you for posting in the chat. Much appreciated. Night, Mary. Night, Sonia. God bless you, Sonia. Night, DJ B2. Good night, all of you. There's still 47 people watching. I think I'm going to call it a night. Email says, believe half of what you hear and a fifth of what you spell. You should send that to Richard D. Hall. I think he'd laugh at that, you know. Take it easy, David. All the best to you in Maine. And I really appreciate you watching. It's been a good live stream. Thank you all for watching. And thanks for posting. It'd be very boring if you didn't put comments on. Because it'd just be me sitting here talking to myself, which would be very boring. So thanks, all of you, for contributing to the live stream this evening. And I will see you again very soon. Okay, where are we? Oh, Tina, Richard D. Hall and Brexit. I don't want to go there. Night, everyone.